Disclaimer, this story is not for children under 13. If you're under 13, please get off of here right now, as the story contains a lot of blood, gore, violence, and murder. Welcome to Shattered Glass, a Wattpad fanfiction by Lunársetia. Prologue. A line of two voices were muffled, like I felt I was underwater. My vision was blurring out, slowly. I bounced up and down as my dad carried me while running with my mom as fast as they could. This all seemed so surreal. What was happening to me? All I physically remember was passing out on the floor in the living room while I was playing with my stuffed animals. Like a sickness or something in that relative took me down in an instant. Then approximately 12 minutes have passed, and my parents are still running with all of their energy and oxygen left to breathe before stopping, panting, and running again. Alex, honey, are we almost there? My mom had asked, panting and wheezing like she hasn't drank water for the past hours. She crouched and put her paws on her knees, trying to regain the quickly wasted air. My dad clenched onto me tightly, not wanting to lose his only baby girl. Yes, Christina, we're almost there, he replied teary-eyed. He fought through the tears as the two ran through the cold brick rain. The rain fell like glass shards. Every raindrop that hit the skin stung easily. My parents had to run through that. Imagine that type of sneaking pain. After the struggle of running and rain shards, my parents reached to a place of my unfamiliarity, the place that would change my life forever. Can we get a doctor? Somebody? Anybody? My dad boomed throughout the hollow hallways. His voice echoed, hopefully helping someone to come help me. The place almost felt grim and bone-chilling. This place almost looked abandoned, but many doctors and scientists still took patients in to help the sick. At least, that's what my parents told me. Then, after almost a minute of waiting, a doctor then came from the halls, walking towards my parents. From my parents' description, he was really tall, had a pair of lab glasses, had steel gray eyes, a big lab coat, and black fading to white hair. He didn't give his name, however. How may I help you both today? The doctor asked. His voice was dull, cold, and full of no emotion. He eyed my parents and didn't break focus of my parents' eyes. Then, once my dad had regained composure, he finally spoke, inhaling and exhaling his last exasperated cry. Our daughter passed out earlier, and she's barely breathing. My dad managed to fight through the sentence without crying again. The doctor began to write everything my parents had said, every little detail. Has she eaten a lot? Yes. Was she always active and upbeat? Yes. Has she herself felt any pain? The duo grew silent. Truth be told, I had. I felt pain really everywhere. In my head, my face, my hands, which were supposed to be paws, and my lower back where my tail was supposed to grow. On my face, I had noticed my skin looking more darker. A large spot was growing slowly more visible on my face. I didn't think much of it, however. I didn't think it was fatal. And in my head, it hurts like a really bad migraine. And it also felt that someone or something was controlling all common sense in me. I couldn't tell you what it was, however. It's too complicated even for me now. After a quiet moment, the doctor spoke once again. Come, I'll see what I can do. He then led the three of us to a doctor's room for the sake of our privacy. The doctor pushed up his glasses. I'll have to examine her. So, if it's not a problem, could you two please undress her? I'll step outside. My parents almost looked uncomfortable, but remembered that I needed help, so they nodded in agreement. The doctor gave them the usual white gown that everyone wears in a hospital. Starting from my flower embroidered shirt, to my silky black skirt, to my fuzzy tumbleweed brown boots, they both undressed me carefully, not wanting to put me through any more potential pain than what I already was in. Delicately, my mom put on the big white gown and tied the knot of the strings easily. She then laid me back down on the bed and stroked my flopped ears with a sad expression. "You can't come back inside now, doctor," my mom said calmly. The doctor then stepped back inside and went to the cabinet to grab any sets of tools needed. He turned me over to examine my unconscious state to see what was wrong with me. He examined my lower areas with a flashlight to see my tail not in the spot where it's supposed to be. No nub, just nothing. My face still had the same mark on my right eye, looking like a coffee stain on a white morning shirt. Once the doctor finished examining me, he carried me and nudged his head, giving my parents the indication to follow him. They walked down a hallway that seemed to glow bioluminescent teal. Once he typed in the code to the door, he invited my parents in, giving them quite the thrill, a nervous thrill. There were many test subjects around, floating in test tubes, seeming mostly chill and stable. To my parents' sight, most of these test subjects were young kids. My mom shivered in mild fear, alarming my dad to wrap his paw around her. With gentle ease, the doctor had put me in a test tube and filled it with water. To keep me stable, I was given what seemed to be cables with needles in my arms and legs. I was also given an oxygen mask to breathe into. Before I woke, I remember being surrounded by flying colors and hearing incoherent voices. It was concerning, yet I still drifted in my rainbow haze, not seeming to care. I still felt the same pain in the same places. What was it? My feeble mind didn't know. It almost seemed like I could walk in this colorful environment, but I felt a nagging fear of risk. What if this environment is not all colors and rainbows? What if this environment is just a mirror into my subconscious reality? I fought over the chances of what could have been. Taking a step in my alternate reality, I felt extremely lightweight. It almost felt like I wasn't in reality. This rainbow haze wasn't clouded with euphoric feelings, however. This felt quiet, just way too quiet. The silence was a stain of danger. And boy, was I right. I then started to feel my stomach flip in random directions. I felt like I was falling. The rainbow colors disappeared into a black and red haze. The voices of my parents and the doctor were coming clear. That's when I opened my eyes slowly, trying to make sense of the liquid environment I was drifting around in. Once my vision regained focus, I saw my mom cover her mouth with drenched eyes. Opening my eyes completely, I made my way to the front of the glass tube. I looked around perplexed, but my mind was blank as an unused canvas. Just waiting for that one spot of paint to create a symbolic painting containing many shades of other colors. But my canvas was blank. I had no color, no sense of anything, and no emotion painted onto me. Just completely white and empty. So, doctor, what's wrong? My dad spoke while clenching my mom's paw. The tension between them grew heavy. Blood pressure rose, muscles tensed, and arms were shaking. The doctor had a look of semi-displeasure and sighed deeply. He turned towards my parents, looking guilty for the heartbreaking news he was about to give. She'll have to stay here for a while due to a bad disease. My mom's eyes couldn't contain her surpassing tears and boiling blood. Her stomach clenched as hard as a fist could have clenched around a human heart before bursting it, the blood creating a gory spectacle. Before she could speak, the doctor interrupted her. "Let me explain, Christina." She'd stopped herself and stood silent. The doctor cleared his throat and held up his clipboard. "Well, we found an unknown parasite lingering within her bloodstream. She has side effects such as spreading rashes, a large rotting mark on the right side of her eye, lack of tail and arm growth causing pain in her lower back and arms, migraines, massive mood swings, and hallucinations. This parasite is indeed stronger than most common parasites lingering in pups. Because of this, he paused and pursed his lips mildly. She'll have to stay here for 3 years. My mom screamed and fought through my dad's grip on her arms. No, please, anything but 3, she boomed. Honey, please, let him explain, my dad yelled, attempting to reassure her. My mom kicked her legs around, trying to get more closer to me. I curved my eyebrows and slanted my eyelids in a sad motion. I felt guilty. I felt like this was all my fault even though it wasn't. Why? If I would have fought through it, I wouldn't be in this mess making my parents cry. I looked away from the glass, not wanting to see my mom's tears in fighting state. With a huff, the doctor spoke. Christina, there's no other choice. She can die if we don't do anything. Die. The one word that made my mom freeze in an instant. She calmed down, let her ears flop, and listened clear and well. Look, the only real way to cure her is to disinfect the rashes and force the parasite into her head. So she'll still have the mark on her face. Her tail and paws will start to show, but there is a downfall. She might go through several changes. Those are in fact extremely dangerous to other people. He then showed the duo a paper. I couldn't see it since his back was turned. My parents, however, looked extremely frightened. They whispered so low that I couldn't hear them well. But I heard them saying something about my mentality. I wasn't sure what they meant, but I just shook it off and just stared into the watery environment. I then noticed my mom walking towards me with a smile. She put her paw on the glass, and I did so as well. I'll see you soon, baby. I love you, my mom said to me, sniffling. Though she couldn't see, I smiled back. I'll see you soon. I love you too, Mama, I replied. Walking away, she clammed her paw into my dad's. As soon as they left, I was bearing to prepare for 3 years of experimental procedures. Without their presence being felt, I felt like I was in danger. The environment grew more scary as I heard many other test subjects snarling, growling, snapping, you name it. I saw some being attacked by others. If that wasn't enough to scare me, most were killed by either the scientists from guns or explosions, other test subjects, or even died from their bodies weakening. The place had the aura of dead corpses. Now, I was preparing myself to be another dead corpse, along with expecting of 3 long years of experimental procedures. What a past life for me it was.